Okay, so this week I'm having a think about work-life balance, and in particular, the sacrifices that we make, particularly as women, in order to maintain balance throughout our lives. There are so many things that we have to consider, and actually, I was making the notes for this morning, and just thinking there's so much to fit in. I think I'm actually going to do this over 2 sessions because I want to kind of cover it all properly. But in terms of being, regardless whether you're a wife or a mother, actually just all of the things that I think as women, and I speak to women because women are my client base, but I do understand that there are a lot of men that make sacrifices as well. So I'm not purposefully excluding men from this conversation, but I'm just recognizing that as myself, as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother, and my clients who are predominantly women, mostly wives and mothers too, that this is the demographic that I most relate to. Now, before I go any further, I would love to know if you are watching live. So if you are watching live, please do let me know that you're here. Say hi, hit the like button, or if you're watching on replay, then put a #replay in the comments so that I know. And regardless of whether you are commenting live or in replay, I will get back to all of your comments, and I do appreciate your comments. So thank you. This goes out over a couple of platforms, so I can't keep up with everything all at the same time. But yeah, so as I was saying, my clients are women, so I'm not being disrespectful by excluding men from this. Although I have to say that in my experience, and I do work with men. I have worked in the past with a lot of couples. I used to be a couples therapist before I streamlined into my coaching business now. I still have some couples that I work with, so I am aware of the dynamics. I'm not being I hope I'm not being overly generalistic, because I don't like to overly generalize. But in my experience, women do the overwhelming share of housework, domestic stuff, childcare arrangements, caring for parents, all of the things that go on outside of the very, like, the really simple kind of work home. Most of the time that is done mostly by women. So I think I would say, if we were talking about the average working mum, 80% of all housework and childcare is done by 80% of the women. It's a big, bold statement, but this isn't an academically researched quote. This is just the women and couples that I work with. That is the experience. That is my experience of working with them, and that is my experience as well in my own personal life. So I'm just saying that's kind of how it is. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean to say that there aren't some fabulous husbands, and all of the rest of the stuff that goes with that. But I think what comes with that, and this is what I want to get to now, is that what comes with that is huge sacrifice. Because even if I look just amongst my friends, if a child is ill, it is mostly the women who will be taking the time off of work to care for that child. Now, arguably, they may very well want to be the one who is at home looking after the poorly child. But we're thinking about sacrifices, we're thinking about work-life balance, and there are so many things that come up. And part of the reason why I was having difficulty organising this in my mind this morning was just like, what do we sacrifice? Do we sacrifice our relationships and our home life? Or do we sacrifice our career and our work life? And the answer is that we sacrifice both. Like, I don't believe if you are a working woman, there may be situations where you are able to keep balance. But in fact, even if you are not a wife and mother, even if you are a single lady, I bet you are still making sacrifices, most probably in your personal life, in order to over deliver in your professional life. I've been speaking to a couple of ladies recently, a few ladies recently, and these are the things that are coming up. And research demonstrates that most people who are single, divorced, separated, widowed, are most likely to be are a greater chance of over delivering at work too. So we sacrifice everything. We are sacrificing our relationships as women, our relationships with our partners, our relationships with our children, relationships with friends, sacrificing maybe career progression, because, you know, gosh, this is something I really relate to personally, and this is something that I've spoken to so many women about as well. That if you want to progress in your career, if you want to really climb the ladder, if you are working corporate, or if you are working for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, you are having to maybe not go as big and bold in your own business because you want to spend time with your children, or with your husband or your partner. But there's always something to give. Like, I know personally, for me, it's so important for me, and this is a blessing for me, right? It's a positive and it's a negative. For me, being able to take my children to school and pick them up from school is like, it's non-negotiable for me. Is that like 100% non-negotiable? There'd be very, 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 very few times over the last, my eldest is 9 now, so over the last 5-6 years, or nursery even 7 years, where I haven't done that. That's important to me. So yes, okay, that's fine. I've now managed to craft a business which works school hours around my children, but I'm very privileged to be in that position. I've worked very hard to be that privileged to be in that position. There are some people who can't do that, or have managed to negotiate hours around their children, but it comes at a cost somewhere else down the line. I haven't even got onto health yet. I mean, I'm just even thinking about, I haven't even dug deep. This is just like merely the surface. So, okay, so let's have a think about relationships, and let's have a think about how our relationships get affected by work-life balance. If you are, and like I said, we can go both ways. It's like, what are we sacrificing? Are we sacrificing work, or are we sacrificing home life? Like, you can go either way, and I'm sure there are so many men that relate to this as well. Is it sorry? Am I about to say something silly? A lot of men are the primary breadwinners, right? I know that's changing. I know that's definitely changing. But I mean, historically, that was the case, and I think probably still the case in most families. I wouldn't want to hazard a guess what the percentage is, but I would say most families. Again, because mostly, if the women are mothers, then they have taken a career sacrifice in order. Sacrifice. Is it? I mean, this is another part of the conversation. This is not. I could talk forever about this because it's so interesting. Is it a sacrifice? Like, if you are sacrificing your career, are you sacrificing if you have the privilege of being able to raise your children and you are in a position where you can work part-time to be at home with your children? Or are you sacrificing your time with your children in order to be working full-time because you are either keen to progress your career or you actually just need the money. It's you know, that's what I love so much about my work, is that when I help women in whatever area or capacity that they need, it's very individual. There's no one glove fits all, right? It's not one rule that fits across every individual, every couple or every family situation. So when we get to work together, we get to work out, you know, really what is going on for you, what is going on for you individually, you in your relationship, in your family, in your workplace, and really try and tease out the best situation for you, taking into account all of your own limiting beliefs about what is holding you back, as well as the practical limitations that are holding you back. And then we can work with that and come to find a solution that works best for you. But ultimately, we want to be able to get the best out of life, right? Because it goes quickly, right? It flies by. My daughters have just gone into year 2 and year 5 now, and I just think I can't get my head around where the time has gone. And that's the case for many of my clients too. So how do you make time for your relationships? How do you make time? So time is an interesting one, because we can think about time in 2 ways when we're thinking about this. We can think about, how do you physically make time for your relationships? How do you physically make time for your husband or partner? How do you physically make time for your children? And then when you are there, and this is something that I have to work really hard on, this is something that I am guilty of, how do you make sure that you are present in that moment with them? How do you make sure that you are not always checking your phone? Because that's the thing, when we work and we have our phone, our work is on our phones, it's so easy to just check one thing quickly, or just do one thing quickly, or just send one more email, or just make one more post. Okay, so it's really about making sure that we've got really clear boundaries about when the work time is done, that we are present in that moment. Even if it's not, we don't have to be present for like 3 hours, but make sure that the time that we are there, we are present. That's really, really, really important. So physical time, and then the kind of like emotional time, really. I think I'm going to leave it there, because then I can come on to well-being and the emotional aspect, and the physical drain when we're thinking about what sacrifices we make for a healthy work-life balance. We can be thinking then about exercise and diet and sleep, and all of the other really important stuff. So I hope that has been helpful, and really just to give you food for thought about where you are striking the balance, and what you need to be doing. I mean, what do you need to be doing in order to put more balance in if you feel that you haven't got it quite right yet? Okay, and I'll probably come back on Wednesday and do another session thinking about the implications on our health and well-being, and the sacrifices that we make there. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions about this, or about working with me, or anything else work related, then drop me a direct message, and I will catch up with you soon. Okay, have a lovely evening, and I'll follow with part 2 on Wednesday. Take care.